Countrywide?
No, from Oregon.
For Oregon, well, right now, I don't think we have too many, but we're getting ready to send at the end of March approximately 3,000. We've already sent, this is the biggest call-up since World War II. It's about half of our state strength of 7,000.
So they're going to be gone during the fire season?
Do you have any information about the fatality rate of our Oregon National Guard doing? I've heard that it's one of the highest in the nation.
I've heard that as well. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I've heard that per capita that yes, it is. It's very high. This challenge is not to challenging the president.
Yeah.
This is a challenge to the legal authorization. And we're saying, okay, you can use the Guard, but you've got to have a legal mandate. So pass another AUMF, Congress, if you really think they need to be used. So it's not a challenge to Obama. In fact, I think it would be helpful. When he starts bringing people home, he'll say, yeah, this is what the people want,
I don't construe it as a challenge to Obama. I'm curious as to where he might stand, or if there's been any kind of subtleties picked up of where he stands on the Guard.
I don't know. I don't know.
People would ask why we're sending Guard instead of active military or reserve. What answer?
Because we don't have enough active and reserve. The Bush administration has just decimated our military by sending more troops than we have and digging deep into the National Guard. And frankly, he wouldn't be able to pull off all these missions that he's done in the occupation without the Guard. So this is a way, if we could get the Guard troops home, to end the occupation, a back doorway.
Well, it's also a way of pointing out to people that the myth of the Bush administration supporting the military.
Oh yeah.
Is bogus.
Right. That's right. Yes, ma'am.
So what I'm hearing is part of the intent of this is through the courts is get the conversation out there.
I would love for it to show up in the courts.
Got it.
Yeah. We would love to have that happen.
Oregon National Guard support these efforts?
Well, now that's a good question. If you talk to their public affairs officer, he would say, no, he doesn't agree with us, and that, I was on this radio show, Think Out Loud on OPB, and it was supposed to be a 50-minute show, and about, at least 2/3 of it was spent with this guy talking about how great the Guard is and how capable they are and all the good that they've done over in Iraq. And then I talked about our campaign briefly, but it wasn't really, they're non sequiturs. We're not talking about whether the Guard wants to go. We're not talking about whether the Guard is capable. This is about a legal challenge to the authorization. So you can find Guard members that say, yes, I want to go. And you can find Guard members that say, absolutely, I do not want to go. But it's not a question of whether they want to go or not. It is a question of law. And it is a question of the governor doing what is best for his state, as he's required to do, and not about what's the best way to fight the war in Iraq and, what are they going to do if they don't have our troops. That's not his worry. His worry is what is best for our state. And it is to keep our Guard here protecting Oregonians and their property. So I don't think that is even should be a consideration of what does the Guard want to do. It's not something you get to pick and choose whether you want to go or not. And I do tell people personally, if you want to be on the front lines fighting, you should join the active duty. You should be in the Army or the Marine Corps fighting on the front line, because that's not the intent of the National Guard. So, sir.
Yeah, I want to clear if this is essentially a legal issue, not a political one.
Right.
And as Oregon taxpayers, we have a legal stake in this. Why can't we, as Oregon taxpayers, file suits to block the Guard? Why do we have to go through the legislature?
I don't know. I'm not an expert on legal matters, but I was going to ask this question: is if you were a member of the Guard and the governor didn't challenge this, could you sue the state government for not challenging it? I don't know. Does anybody here a lawyer? I don't know. That's a good question, but I don't know the answer to that. Let's Kurt.
People should know too that that when the Guard comes home, the wounded have to be cared for by the state of Oregon, and their care, long-term care, has to be paid by, so there are financial aspects to this too. And I don't know how much of the equipment maintenance and so forth is paid for by the state.
That's another pushback you get, is that, oh, the government funds the Guard and it's their equipment, and so they can do whatever they want with it. But the law requires the federal government to fund the state National Guard. And, you know, if they pulled the funding, I think that would be grounds for a lawsuit. They're required to fund them. It's not something they can pull back. Could I know there's several hands. I'd like to just mention a couple of the counter arguments that I hear and address those, and maybe that will answer some of your questions, and then we'll go back to see if we have more questions, okay? A couple of things that you'll hear is, well, the federal government has control of the Guard. The governors don't have the authority to challenge this. Now, once the Guard is, and people will say, oh, the governors can't just pick and choose what mission they want to send their Guard to. That's true. That's true, and there have been court cases about that decided that governors cannot decide if this is a mission that they support or not. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about, so you just have to keep refocusing the point of this campaign is that it's not about the governor saying, no, I don't like this mission. It's the governor saying, you don't have legal authority to take the Guard. So the feds don't have control of the Guard until they are released to the federal government. It comes in, I'm not sure of all the details on when they get the federalization orders, the deployment orders. There are a series of bureaucratic steps. And if any vet here, are there any guardsmen here by any chance? Okay. I'm not really sure of all the legal steps that entails between when they are under the governor and when they are under the federal government. But until they are released to the federal government, then the governor does have the authority, the legal right, the responsibility to make sure that they are not released without legal authorization. The equipment and the funding belongs to the feds. That was an argument that I've heard before and I already mentioned. This is an argument that I heard from one of our state senators. And she said, I've been talking with some guardsmen and they feel like it's kind of a matter of saving face, that for years the Guard was not treated as equals with active duty, and that this is their chance to prove themselves, and they've worked all these years to earn their reputation as a capable fighting force, and now you're going to insult them by telling them that they can't deploy. Boy, it's not about that at all. And so there are probably some guardsmen who feel that way. But it's not about their feelings. And, you know, it just galls me to imagine that you would say, okay, go off and do this mission that we really think is illegal because, you know, we don't want you to lose face or be insulted. It's just amazing to me that even people would, but this was the state senator who told me this.
Can we counter that with, we need you here?
Yeah.
We need you.
Yeah. We need them here to do the jobs they were really trained to do, and their jobs they've been trained to do is not, nation-making building in Iraq.